Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I come to the floor today to support Senator Hutchinson and to talk about this role that's being played now by the Federal Communications Commission in terms of regulating the Internet for the very first time. I oppose having these bureaucrats regulating the Internet. I support the resolution of disapproval that is now on the Senate floor. In the 2008 presidential campaign, then-candidate Obama made it very clear that he was for empowering Washington's bureaucracy through more red tape. The president was not looking to make Washington more efficient, in my mind, or more effective, but to make Washington bigger, to centralize power in Washington. One of his campaign promises was new regulation called net neutrality. It appears to me the president then appointed one of his school friends and basketball buddies to be chairman of the FCC, possibly with this in mind. So here we are, 2011, and it seems to me that Congress now is being asked to make a decision. And I want Congress, asking Congress and my colleagues, to reverse the course of the bureaucracy. The administration did not even deem this rule to be what they call significant. Well, a significant rule is one that has an impact on the economy of at least $100 million. And I believe this is a significant rule. I support Senator Hutchinson and her resolution because it will keep the Internet free and open. Republicans and Democrats agree. Earlier this year, the House of Representatives passed a similar resolution, and it had bipartisan support. Net neutrality is very real. The time to act is now. We'll be voting in the next day or so, and the reason that we need to act now is that the rules of having more bureaucratic government control go into effect in just a few weeks, November 20th, 2011. It does seem that Congress is being disregarded. Congress has never delegated authority to the FCC to regulate in the past. The Communications Act of 1996 had a goal, and the goal was, quote, to promote competition and reduce regulations. Well, 1996, Bill Clinton was President of the United States. This is what it said again, the Communications Act 1996, the goal to promote competition and reduce regulations. Instead, we have unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats who are ignoring Congress and voting for regulation of the Internet. Well, let's take a look at the overall economy. Right now, we have 14 million Americans who are out of work. The numbers again this month, 9% unemployment in this country. And the administration is now making it a priority to regulate another sector of our economy over jobs. The FCC has opened the door for Washington bureaucrats to take over a sixth of our economy. They ought to be focusing on creating jobs in this country, making it easier and cheaper for the private sector to create jobs. But between healthcare, banking, and now technology, this administration is taking over our economy sector by sector and making it more expensive and harder for the private sector to create jobs. The FCC's actions threaten innovation and they threaten investment in America. Regulations are the biggest burden being faced by small businesses in this country today. And if you don't believe me, just ask them. The polling of small business owners has said it is regulations coming out of Washington that are their biggest burden today. Technology pioneer and Apple co-founder Steve Jobs warned President Obama about Washington red tape. There's a new biography out about Mr. Jobs by Walter Isaacson, and this is what he said in the biography. Quote, Jobs described to Obama how easy it was to build a factory in China. And he said that it was almost impossible to do these days that in America, largely because of regulations and unnecessary unnecessary costs, end of quote. This rule that we're looking at today transfers the future of the Internet out of the hands of the American people. It makes government the gatekeeper of internet services. Former FCC Commissioner Meredith Baker has said, quote, "The rules will give government, for the first time, a substantive role in how the internet will be operated and managed," end of quote. This means that the future of internet technology, whether on a smartphone, an iPad, or a computer, will be in the hands of Washington bureaucrats. Engineers and entrepreneurs will not be able to give us the internet that we want at a price that we want. Former FCC Commissioner Baker also said, quote, "By replacing market forces and technological solutions with bureaucratic oversight, we may see an internet future not quite as bright as we need, with less investment, less innovation, and more congestion." No American wants that, but that's what this government is giving to the American people. To me, this means that recent internet service innovations like 3G and 4G wireless speeds and new fiber networks now become riskier investments. Less investment means that every American's ability to access the internet that he or she wants may be affected. Less investment means fewer jobs. 4 months ago, President Obama realized that he had a regulation problem with independent agencies like the FCC. He issued an order, an executive order, asking independent agencies to review burdensome red tape. Instead of reviewing red tape, they have rolled out even more of it. The presidential review has fallen woefully short. The president asked independent agencies to produce a plan to reduce regulations within 120 days. 120 days yesterday. So the 120 days has come and gone, and what we received once again from this president is more rhetoric and little by way of results. If there was ever an example of an independent agency rule that needs to be put against the president's rhetoric, it is this net neutrality rule. Net neutrality picks winners and losers. It threatens smaller and rural providers. Brett Glass of Lariat, a wireless internet service provider in Wyoming, warned the FCC about the effects on smaller providers. He said that the red tape will hurt his ability to deploy new service to currently underserved or unserved areas. He warned that many broadband providers, they're small businesses and they're serving rural communities. He wrote, quote, "The imposition of regulations that would drive up costs or hamper innovation would further deter future outside investment in our company," he said, "or others like it." So here we are. Americans have made it very clear that they oppose Washington worsening the web. Over 60% of voters oppose Washington putting its hands on the internet. This regulation that we're debating today is a classic example of Washington trying to fix something that is not broken. 93% of Americans are satisfied with their broadband service. 91% of Americans are satisfied with their broadband speed. The internet is working remarkably well. There is a fundamental disconnect with those in Washington who seek a more powerful bureaucracy and those at home in the 50 states of our union who are seeking a stronger economy. The warnings are real in Wyoming, in my state, and all across this country. Congress must step in where the bureaucrats in Washington have overstepped. Senator Hutchinson's resolution of disapproval should be supported on both sides of the aisle. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.